Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Tiny 6 from KingKong. It weighs 20.30 grams. It appears to be 64 millimeters, just like this. Features an F3 flight controller, 800 TV line camera with 150-degree field of view, 25 milliwatt VTX, 6 millimeter motors. It comes with 5 250 milliwatt 1S batteries. They're rated 30 to 60C. Also, you get rubber bands for mounting your motors, grommets for mounting your flight controller, and screws. You get an extra set of props. You get pink ones too. Don't forget the white. And you get canopies to match. You also get a field charger, prop remover, instructions. Mine came with a radio too. So in the flight footage you saw, I was flying in angle mode, and that is a little bit different for me because typically I don't fly in angle mode. But this one just didn't quite have the throttle response that I needed to fly angle mode or acro mode like I want to. So it's something to keep in mind that these aren't the just top of the line motors. The motors are fair or decent. I don't have really any terrible complaints about them because these motors are one of the things we're going to have to replace. And there's a host of 6mm motors you can upgrade to. There's special sauce from Tiny Whoop. There's Insane from Micro Motor Warehouse. There's the strict motors, which I've used before, and they're pretty good. You may find that you can fly in acro mode if you get some higher performing motors. But I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. And as you already saw, I had this at a park where my girls actually swim there. And I was flying around, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm going to repeat myself just a little bit here. But I was just flying around because I don't get that opportunity to fly when I'm with the kids. Usually I don't take anything with me because I don't want to bother anybody, and I don't want to have, security come up to me and kick me out. It's not something I want to have happen with the role I play in my community. So I was flying around, and it was kind of interesting because it was kind of dusk, or the light was really getting on its last legs. But I was coming out of one of these slides, those tube slides, and I didn't know these three boys were there, and one of them goes, "Sheesh!" And so then I brought it in real quickly, and we spent the next half hour to 45 minutes talking about RC and the things that they've had and they've tried, and that was a fun experience. I enjoyed that, and I wish I could have that experience a little bit more. I wish I'd have brought goggles so I could have shown them what it was like. So we just did some line of flight because I don't really like handing people my Fat Shark goggles that I don't know. That's not something I'm comfortable with. But so that was a fun experience. And as far as this machine goes, it flies pretty well. I like how they have it set up for angle mode to where it's not so heavily self-correcting all the time to where your flight gets to looking like it's choppy and stuff. It was a little bit, I had to get used to it. I had to go for a lot of flights. I had to use some of my other batteries in order to get used to flying in angle mode because I did try for my first 10 or so flights to fly in acro, and the flights just weren't coming out very well, so I decided to switch over to angle mode, and that was quite relaxing actually and refreshing that I wasn't trying so hard. I should mention that I did replace my battery pigtail. The one that it came with, unfortunately, I think it might have gotten crimped on wrong, and the voltage was coming out every time I plugged in a battery, so I actually had to hold the wires in and plug in a battery, and even then, only sometimes did it work. This machine, I think one of the things you might want to make an improvement with is you see, if hopefully you can see right there's a little separation. I would put a little tiny bit of heat shrink right there because that little separation is kind of one of those points where you're going to be, when you go upside down, that point, it could be a stress point right around this cutout of this frame. So I would just put some heat shrink in there to kind of help ensure that that antenna didn't get messed up, because that is your video and this is your radio link. Speaking of radio, let's talk about the controller. You don't have to, you can buy just this and the batteries and the canopies and everything. I think that's like $65. But you can get it with the controller, so if you have someone in your life, maybe it's you that's just getting started and you don't want to fuss with having to learn a receiver and setting up switches and mixers and binding up, this is a pretty dead simple kit. You get a radio. I really can't complain about this radio. It's nothing to write home about. It's very basic, but it does its job. They've already set up modes on it, so we've got arm and disarm. I did switch these modes out to what I'm familiar with. So angle mode was up, and then I'd had air mode in the middle, and then rate mode down at the bottom. So I would be in rate mode with air mode in the middle, but I spent most of my time all the way up with rate mode. The gimbals don't feel especially good, but it's not unflyable. This isn't a high-quality radio, although I will say that I do think it's overpriced because I believe the kit with the radio comes in around $117, but the machine and the batteries and all the other things that you get, I think you get all the batteries. Well, I just checked, and for $65, you don't get all the batteries that I had. You only get one battery, and you get one charger, so there is a big variance in the kit if you don't buy the radio. So the radio itself isn't the $50 value. The extra batteries, the extra canopies, the extra propellers, those things are adding the value as well. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I can't complain about it too much. This is something that I had hoped to get one of my kids started in FPV, because I do think it's relatively easy to fly. You can just, throttle up and leave that stick in that position and just kind of fly mainly with this one, and getting used to it in the goggles and how it feels. And then you can start to use yaw a little bit, and you can start to manage your throttle, because when you are flying, you are doing a lot of different things at the same time. And a machine like this that's safe, because it's so light and because it's not brushless and it's got protected props, this is something that a young person could definitely learn on. Not just a young person, but also someone who's just getting started, and it would be pretty safe. You see a lot of these, tiny hoop videos around, and a lot of your big drone flyers love these things as well. So don't overlook these just because they're little and because they're small and because they're safe. They are a lot of fun. I've flown a bunch of different whoop-style machines, and I enjoy flying them. I also enjoy flying other things that are bigger and more powerful as well. I think the last thing I should add is that's about the camera. I found that my camera was deeper inside the canopy where I could actually see it in my view, and I don't know if you can see it. Do you see that yellow inside but around the camera? So inside in here, that's the mounting bracket. It's kind of a moon shape, and the camera is glued to that with something that is really sticky. See, like up here, it looks white, like it's just like foam tape, but it's not. I actually was going to modify it so I could get a little bit more camera tilt so I could fly a little faster. But unfortunately, I was worried about breaking the camera and trying to get it out of here. So what I did instead was I just I took the canopy off and I pushed it forward with my thumb just about as hard as I could. And I did that a few times until I got the camera about where I would have liked to have. I would have liked to have had a little bit more up tilt. I like to fly forward and fast. I'd shoot gaps sometimes, but not all the time. But that's all. We're all individuals. We're all different. So that's something you might be aware of, is that switching out to those other canopies, that's going to require a fair bit of work, I think, because of the adhesive that they used in here is actually really sticky stuff. I shouldn't say sticky. It is really stuck on there. I was pretty physical with it, and you could hear it crack, you could hear it snap, but the camera never came loose. And I've had all sorts of crashes since then, and the camera is still in there. So if you're thinking about changing out the canopy, just be careful. Do your research on adhesives and electronics and see what's the best method to remove that. Maybe I've heard acetone works really well for removing glues. I don't know if that's a super glue or if that's an epoxy, but whatever it is, it's in there good. Good kit. The value, you're going to have to evaluate where you're at with the value. $117, I think, dollars. Excuse me, it's $113 at this time of the video, or the published date down below. Look for this to go on sale. I'll mention this in several videos. It's this time of year where GearBest and Banggood and all these other companies, they start to have these big sales. GearBest has been asking a lot of reviewers to give them input. They're really trying to elbow themselves in a better position in the market. And one of the things that I said is they need to have unique products, and they need to have accurate shipping dates posted on their websites. They need to ship as fast, if not faster, than their competitors. And they also need to beat them in price as their competitors. And to add to that, they need to support the products better. I've heard many times about people having difficulties with product support. I also want to know what you think GearBest needs to do. So if they're asking for input, let's give it to them. The worst can happen is they don't listen to us. They want to improve. I'm always willing to get behind somebody who wants to improve and give them some information that might help. So down in the section down below, even if you're not interested in this product, please leave a comment about how to improve GearBest's market position to where you might be more interested in purchasing from them. You can leave comments about how your purchase experience, your support experience has been in the past, how you view their products if you've never bought anything from GearBest. Those are just some different situations I came up with off the top of my head that you might be able to help them understand what they need to do. Okay, as far as this product goes, I have nothing more to say about it. Check down below for a Google Doc that has coupons of various other products. If you've gotten that far, I'm going to have a flurry of videos. Hopefully the weather will clear up a little bit and I'll be able to go outside and fly some of the micros. I have a lot to do. I also have some builds I need to work on. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Okay, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.